Hey, Perry Tinsley here, creator of the Power Blast podcast, owner of PutYourselfFirst.com. Thanks for joining me on A Decade for Change. Got something really powerful to share with you today, actually. I'm going to read something to you. Situation, and I'll talk about obituaries in a moment. Maybe a different podcast because I was like, anyway. After Terri's passing, there were several newspapers around the state where we had her obituary placed. And as a part of that obituary, I think there were a couple of the places where we put in. I think it may have been the poem of the Rainbow Bridge, and it's not really a poem, but about the Rainbow Bridge, how where our pets go, and when we lose a pet, and how they're waiting for us, and how Terri had actually just like less than a month before her accident, had said, when I die, I don't want to go to heaven. I want to go and work with the animals at Rainbow Bridge. And I should, at some point, I'll read that powerful email to you that she wrote, which was pretty amazing. I already get kind of teary-eyed thinking about it because it was like, wow, that was pretty amazing. But I'm going to read an email to you, not even an email. You can read this online. I'll give you the link below. But I'm going to read a letter that I received. Now, Terri died December 9th. I received this February 15th, 2004, so 3 months after her passing. Here's the way it reads. Dear Mr. Tinsley, although we have never met, I would like to introduce myself to you. My name is Pam Marcourt. I live in the small town of Horicon, Wisconsin with my husband Al and our son Jordan and our dog Gracie and our cat Gizmo. Gracie is the newest addition of our family. She was adopted in mid-November from Haws, which is Humane Society. She is a lovely dog and a great addition. But there's still a spot in our hearts which is left empty. That spot belongs to our gone but not forgotten German short-haired buddy, Jess. He had been with our family for over 11 years. He was a very young puppy when I found out I was pregnant, so my son and he grew up together and were best friends. They did everything together that they could. In July of 2003, Jess started to have blood in his stool. He became sick frequently. He quit eating. Some days he couldn't even stand up on his own. He was bleeding to death He was bleeding to death internally, and there was really nothing we can do. It was heartbreaking for all of us, but particularly for our son Jordan. Finally, in late August of 2003, we decided it was becoming a lot of suffering for him, and we held him, all three of us, and as we put him to sleep, or as he was put to sleep. We cried and played together. Let me read that again. We cried and prayed together as we buried him, built his beautiful grave site, and put in his memory cross. Hard to read when you got tears in your eyes, a little bit. We cried again together the following weekend as we planted flowers there. Although we miss him terribly, my husband and I began to go through our grieving process and were able to begin moving on. Our son, however, was not. In late October of 2003, my son's best friend had to move from his dad's house here in town to his mom's house an hour away. He became even more moody and emotional. I really began to worry as Christmas approached, and he spoke of how he would rather be dead like Jess than have Christmas with both best friends gone. He questioned incessantly about heaven and if Jess really was there. Let me get a little towel here. I haven't read this in a long time. Okay, let me find where it was at. And if Jess was really there. To discourage any further thoughts on his part, I also stressed that you get by heaven by God's will and not your own. If you take your own life, God will not be pleased. But Jess was a great dog and the best friend anyone could have ever had. So I was sure God took him to heaven. Still, he questioned me daily about how do I know for sure, and what if God didn't let dogs in? Like a lot of places don't. That's a good point. If it broke my heart, but I didn't know how else to reassure him. Then one day, a friend from work who knew the story and what I was going through brought me this obituary. It was that of your lovely wife, Terri. How I wish I could have met her and thanked her myself for helping my son by sharing Rainbow Bridge. Just knowing that there is someone like her at Rainbow Bridge, keeping my son... Perry should have brought tissues. I didn't expect that. Let's see. You're bearing with me, right? All right. So just knowing that someone is there like her at Rainbow Bridge, keeping the animals company, playing with them, and offering companionship until we can see him again means more than you will ever know. I am terribly, terribly sorry for your loss. It must be the most traumatic thing anyone could ever experience. But in your grief, you will be able to share that part of your wife with everyone around you. And I truly believe that I was losing some touch with my son until I shared her story with him. I typed out the saying, just like the one I've kept for you. No, wait, let me read that again. I typed out the saying, just like the one I sent you, except with Jess's name on it. I put it in an 11 by 4 frame with a mat for an 8 by 10 and glued some photos of Jess to the mat. I wrapped it and he opened it at Christmas with the family. There was not a dry eye in the place. Not a dry eye here. There was not a dry eye in the place as he read it aloud, and we talked of how I happened to hear of this and about this lovely couple named the Tinsleys and your tragic loss. But I truly believe that even though my son still misses Jess and he is learning to love Gracie, he is finally beginning to really heal. Whenever he has a bad day, he goes to his room, takes the picture off the wall, and talks to Jess. He seems comforted by the time he comes to talk with me, and I cannot thank you enough for sharing. I know it is your wife's words and her request to God, which we trust has been granted, that is offering that comfort. I pray you find the comfort you need as well, whenever you may need it. In God's love, the Marcourt family, Pam, Al, Jordan, Gracie, Gizmo, and Jess. So, I could have just sent you to that website and had you read it without all my interjections and blurry eyes to read that. But isn't it amazing how somebody's life can continue to inspire, make a difference? In this kid, just crazy, you know? So, while I'm a little blubbery right now, just reading that and reflecting on that, because it blew me away when I got this. I mean, jeez. I couldn't believe what I was reading. It made my heart smile, tore me up at the same time. But it was just wild. So lots and lots of lessons in here. I look forward to hearing from you. What lesson did you learn through all this, other than try to have dry eyes when you read it? But take a look at the letter and see what you see there, and speak out, comment below, and share what your lessons, your journey, maybe your experiences that you've had in a similar situation, or even if you lost a pet. This towel is going to go in the laundry after this. If you've lost a pet, just knowing that Terry's watching over your pet until you get reunited again. Anyway, thanks for listening, and we'll see you next time.